Amy, can I get an audio check from you, please?
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
You sound great. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Karen, can I get your audio check, please?
Hello, Darren. How are you?
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Welcome.
Can you hear me, Darren?
I can hear you, Stuart.
Hi, Karen. Thank you.
Yes,
I saw Ann nodding. Ann was nodding, so I knew I was safe.
Thank you, Anne.
sorry, I was trying to figure out how to turn off this stupid bell.
Never had so many guests ring my doorbell before in my life. That's awesome. Well, doorbell or not, we're going to go ahead and get started. So welcome, everybody. I want to make sure we get started on time because we have lots of information to share with you this afternoon in a fairly short period of time to do that in. I want to welcome you all back. I'm thrilled to see everybody here. I hope you had a lovely summer. I know what faculty summers are like. They're quite busy with teaching and scholarship and national service organization, but I hope that all of you at least had a small opportunity to get some rest and relaxation and have a little fun. So for those of you who are new to ISU, welcome. My name is Karen Appleby. I currently serve as the interim provost and vice president of academic affairs. And we are so excited to have you here on campus. If I haven't had a chance to meet you yet, I look forward to doing so in the future very quickly. So we are continuing our town hall meetings on Zoom, and we will probably do so regardless of the COVID landscape, because last year, what we found is that access for all of our campuses was actually much better and participation was much higher when we did the town halls via Zoom access. So we will continue the academic affairs town halls. For those of you who are new, many units on campus do town halls, and they're just ways to make sure that faculty, staff, and students are informed about all of the ongoings on campus. So we have lots, as I said earlier, lots to cover with you today. I'm going to introduce a couple of folks. So if that's you, if you want to raise your hand either virtually or physically, that's fine. We have Rex Force, who is our Vice President of Health Sciences. Here with us today, Rex is going to be providing us a COVID health update and talk about some of the changes on campus as it relates to our current health landscape. I'm going to be providing more information on our program health process and how that is ongoing and our next steps in that process. Darren Blackburn, who serves as our Accreditation Liaison Officer in the Office of Academic Affairs, will be giving us an update on our Northwest Accreditation visit that is upcoming in October this fall. Stuart Summers, our Associate Vice President of Marketing and Communication, is going to be talking to us today about an exciting new program that we've initiated called Bengal Connect, an opportunity for us to mentor and connect with our students in an even better and more robust way. And then Brian Sagandorf, who's our Director of Human Resources, will wrap us up by giving us some updates on the provost search, which the provost search was launched in August. And so he's going to be telling us what's upcoming. So, and then we'll have opportunities for questions at the end. So speaking of questions, I am very pleased to have our moderator for this afternoon, Amy Dressel. Amy, thank you so much for being here. Amy's our Director of Advancement. Oh no, Amy, help me.
You're right.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Very good. Amy has moved up into a new and exciting position, so I want to make sure I get that right. So Amy's going to give you a little bit of information on how you can ask questions throughout the town hall. So I'll turn it over to Amy.
Great. Thank you, Karen. So just a friendly reminder to please mute yourself unless you are speaking. There will be time, like Karen said, at the end for questions where then you can unmute yourself and ask Karen directly or any of the other hosts here today. But for the duration of the presentation, please make sure that you're on mute. And throughout the presentation, of course, you can utilize that chat function like Karen had said. I know we've been on Zoom for a very long time and we're pretty familiar with it. But just a reminder, there's that chat box button at the bottom, and then you can chat your question to everybody in the group. Just a reminder that everybody will see it, or you can choose to send your question anonymously directly to me, and I will go ahead and share on your behalf at the end. If we don't get to your question, I'll make sure to follow up with academic affairs on the side and get back to you anonymously as well. So I'll go ahead and drop that into the chat function for you now. And if you have any questions, feel free to just chat me directly, or again, use the everyone feature in the chat box.
Great. Thank you, Amy. Thank you for being here to help us today. So I'm going to turn it over to Rex Force, who's going to give us a health update.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to campus. Just a very quick update on a few points related to COVID and our campus community's health. We have seen since July a very rapid uptick in COVID cases in Idaho, to the point that we're seeing more admissions and unfortunately more mortality due to COVID recently. Vaccination levels in our state overall continue to be quite low. Less than 45% of Idahoans are fully vaccinated. And what we are also seeing is that during this surge, we're seeing more people in younger age groups, 40 to 60 years of age, for example, who are experiencing significant illness. And this is all due to the Delta variant, which represents well over 80% of the cases in Idaho by the last data that I've seen. The campus, as I think you all know, has mandated indoor masking per CDC guidance. And so we're hopeful that everybody is cooperating with that guidance and utilizing face coverings when you are inside. And that we are talking with our students in our classes about the need to continue to wear face coverings when we're inside. We do have, I guess, a new diagram related to our operational levels. Darren's put that on the slide here. This operational levels document is updated on a weekly basis, where we are looking at a variety of different metrics related to disease activity, as well as the prevalence of disease on campus in particular, our ability to quarantine, for example, students in our housing, availability of personal protective equipment, as well as just the trends that we're seeing with disease activity. Those are some of the metrics that move us between these operational levels. The operational levels are orange, white, gray, and black now. We are currently in the white operational level, which does mandate indoor use of face coverings. We have a team that's been working on vaccinations very aggressively over the course of the summer. Our Bengal pharmacy, which is located in the student health building on the second floor, has walk-up vaccination appointments. You can go to the Roaring Back website listed here and click on COVID vaccinations, or directly to the Bengal pharmacy website to be able to schedule a vaccine there. We will also be having multiple pop-up vaccination sites around campus starting tomorrow, actually, and into next week to particularly capture those folks that are just coming back to campus and haven't had an opportunity to be vaccinated. So the vaccines that are available there include the Johnson & Johnson, which is the single dose vaccine, as well as the Moderna. I believe Pfizer will be available through this program as well. If it's not already, it will be in the near future. And I am told that you can also get vaccines at the health department. That includes, I believe, all three of the vaccine types. Masking requirements. There was this email that was sent out. I've already pretty much covered the masking requirements for campus, but we will continue to utilize indoor masking, as I outlined earlier. Just a couple of other quick points, if I could, Karen. That is that we still have a very active contact tracing team on campus that collaborates with the district health department. We need to hear from you all when there are exposures or positive cases of COVID, and the self-report form that we utilized in the spring and actually all the way back to last fall is still active. The COVID hotline, which is extension 2705, is still available for you to ask questions or to report potential cases or exposures. And then our COVID health team will follow up with you. That phone line is checked multiple times a day to make sure that we're following up on those voicemails. We also have an email, which is covid@health.isu.edu, where we can answer questions and also follow up on potential cases. If we don't know that there are cases on campus, we can't do the contact tracing and hopefully mitigate any further disease spread. So we want, and actually our communicable disease policy requires that folks on campus collaborate and report COVID cases, and we certainly ask that everybody do that. We also ask that folks that have illness do not come to campus, and to get screened or get tested. Our testing site for those people that are symptomatic, the preferred testing site is University Health, and you should call ahead and they will guide you through that testing process. For screening, those people that are concerned or who have been to travel or maybe are in our housing or other places can utilize our screening site, which is in the Vocational Arts Building up across the street from Reed Gym. We also want to make sure that students and or faculty and staff are given leniency as it relates to coming to campus when they're ill, so that we make accommodations for students in particular, so that they're not in class when they may be ill. And so we ask you to communicate aggressively with your students about follow-up and communication and how we make up work and that sort of thing, so that students don't feel overly pressured to come to campus when they're ill. So Karen, I can hand it back to you. I know I covered a lot very quickly. I'm happy to hang around and answer questions at the end.
Great, thank you, Rex. And I'm sure some of you will have questions for all of us when we finish our sections. And so we will wait till the end just so we can get as much information out as we can and then have enough time for questions. And Rex and I are both happy to field questions about our new COVID requirements and how that will impact teaching. So we're going to move to the next part of our agenda, which is a program health update. So first, I want to start the update by very sincerely thanking everyone here and everyone who was not here but involved in our program health process over the last couple of years, specifically last year. For those of you who are new, we do have a process on campus that we go through every 5 years. It is a state board required process. At the state board, it is called program prioritization. We have reframed it as program health. And we look at all of our programs individually based on a number of different factors to determine whether they need to be re-resourced, reallocated, those types of things. So it's a great way to look at our programs and make sure that we're streamlining, offering programs that are healthy for our university, and also providing assistance for programs if necessary to move forward. So we did, all of the four-year institutions were up for their fifth-year program health reports this June. We turned in our program health report June 31st with all of the hard work documented and highlighted that you all did in that report. So we're very pleased with the report. We think we have great outcomes and really strong metrics to use to move forward. One very important piece of information that's changed at the state board level based on program health is that the state board now requires, instead of every 5 years for us to provide a program health update, they are requiring us to provide an annual program health update. Now, I know that caused me a little bit of stress and consternation at first, thinking, are we going to be doing this same exact process every year? And the answer to that is no. However, if your program submitted an action plan as part of the program health process, we will be asking you to provide us updates on those action plans. And we might be working in ways to help you update those action plans and think about other metrics that might be helpful for your programs. So next week, we are actually hosting the State Board of Education on ISU's campus on Wednesday and Thursday. And it's an interesting time to do that, the first week of classes, but lots going on next week. But at that meeting, President Satterley will be giving a program health overview to the state board, so they know what our report says and what we are suggesting as a result. Moving forward, the next couple steps, based on the state board response to our program health report, Admin Council will be providing additional feedback for programs, and then Academic Affairs will be working with those individual programs to refine and provide updates on action plans. So Darren, if you could move to the next slide. So on this slide, what you see is a basic timeline. So two really important deadlines for you to be aware of as faculty members. If you do have a program health action plan that you were submitting for, that your program submitted for this report, we're going to ask for just a general update on your action plan on November 1st of this year. And then we're also going to ask for another additional update on the budget if you have a budget connected to your program health action plan on March 1st. And I know that's sort of a quick turnaround in between November 1st and March 1st, but we want to make sure that if your program health action plan needs to be tied to the budget for next year, we can actually do that. And that budget process will begin in February and March, and we want to make sure that we're doing that as efficiently and effectively as possible. So I will be continuing communication about program health widely. I'll be working with Faculty Senate on this, as we have done so in the past. I'll be working with the deans, department chairs, and I'll be sending information out to the faculty via email with as much information as you need. But if you do have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to Academic Affairs, and we're happy to answer those questions for you. So that's my brief program health update. So I am going to turn it over to Darren to talk about our accreditation visits.
Good afternoon, everybody. So the accreditation team, I'm proud to say we submitted our year 7 accreditation packet, which includes year 6 and year 7, on August 4th to the NWCCU. The next step is for the accreditation team to come and do an evaluation. What used to be on site is going to be virtual of the university based on the packet. So they're going to review the packet, identify questions that they may have, that they do have, and then they're going to come ask those questions over a 3-day period. That's going to take place October 6th through the 8th. Now, to support that evaluation visit, we are actually going to hold a practice visit on September 16th. And we've hired 3 individuals who are accreditation liaison officers from Northwest universities to come in and ask similar questions based on the packets that they've identified that will help us support that October visit. That is the invitations will be going out for both of these events probably next week. So if you're on GERC or UCC or any one of those types of committees, you're going to get an invitation to attend this so that you can give the opportunity to actually answer some of the questions ahead of time for the evaluation. Once that evaluation is complete on the 8th, they'll go back, they have a couple of weeks, and then they'll write their reports. We will have then, we'll receive information about the middle of November on what their findings were, and if there are any concerns, we can address those at that point. Then the board from NWCCU will vote on accepting those findings in January, and then we'll start working on any concerns that they may have had. If you go to the ISU accreditation page, which is isu.edu/accreditation, not only is there the packets that are available for you with the year 6 and year 7 in it, but there's also some study materials and other tools I've been developing to ensure that you have as much support as you need in order to answer the questions for the evaluators and for the practice evaluators. If you have any questions, you're always welcome to contact me. A couple of weeks ago, we asked that if you're making web page updates, please do so cautiously, because we have linked about 400 links within those packets to various programs as well as colleges and websites throughout the university. If you have a question about if you're on there, you can open up the year 6 and year 7 and do a search for your name, or you can contact me and I'll do it for you real quick. It takes me about 5 minutes and I'll get right back with you. I don't have any problem doing it. I'm happy to help because it'll just save me from having to fix a broken link in the next couple days after that. Yeah, I will be available for questions at the end.
Thank you, Darren. So next up, Stuart Summers is going to talk about our Bengal Connect program.
Thank you, Karen. So I'm actually filling in for Corey Zink, who is out today. So I'll try and provide as much information as possible. But if there's other questions, I'm happy to refer those to Corey. But we're excited about this, the Bengal Connect program, as President Satterley announced at the fall address. We put out a call for faculty and staff to volunteer as mentors. And I'm excited because we have 165 who have signed up to be a mentor this fall, which is better than we could have expected or hoped. So we're very enthused about that. This will allow us to reach about 800 first-year students and give them a mentor. We have some trainings that are coming up in the next couple of weeks. If you signed up to be a mentor, tomorrow we will be sending an email with the information about the trainings. They'll be in person, on Zoom, and recorded. They'll be very brief. We just want to talk through how the program will work, what are the expectations. And then on the next slide, Darren, we also are going to send an email to all the students who have been identified, allowing them the ability to opt out if it's something that they don't want to participate in. So we're allowing students to also have have a choice in this and have some flexibility. And then the mentors will receive their list right after the training's concluded with some instructions. So we're very excited about this. Corey has some ideas of how to measure the success. Looking at year-to-year retention, fall to spring, and then fall to fall. And then also we'll be doing some focus groups and some feedback surveys throughout the semester. But I appreciate everyone that has signed up. This is a very exciting effort. I know it will help us with our retention and help our students to be connected to the right resources. So we're pumped about this. And again, thank you if you signed up. And we expect to do this in the future. This isn't just a one-time thing. We're going to work out some of the logistics this year, figure out how we can improve it, and then we'll continue doing it in the future.
Thank you, Stuart. All right, so our last presenter this afternoon, and then we'll get to questions, is Brian Sagandorf, and Brian's going to tell us a little bit about where we are in the provost search.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate being here, and we're excited to have recently kicked off this obviously very important search on campus for our chief academic officer, our provost. So as many of you may recall from last spring, the university made the decision to engage with an executive search firm, Summit Search Solutions, in preparation and launch of this search. So this past spring, we had conducted some listening sessions across campus, gathered a lot of information, did all of our planning and design of our job announcement and strategy for how we were going to be going to market for this position. That all occurred over the summer. And then we executed the plan to officially launch the search nationwide here this August. Around August 2nd was the date that it launched. We do have a webpage out on isu.edu/provost search. So if anybody ever wants to see an update on what's happening with the search, if you want to look at the job announcement, you can find it there on the provost search webpage. By all means, review that, forward it out, share it with friends and colleagues. We would love to have any assistance we can in spreading the word about this big opportunity. And we will continue to work with our search firm partners who are right now engaging with potential candidates nationwide. Our plan at this point is to be having finalists here on campus for interviews sometime around November. And then depending on how those interviews go, we hope that the president is able to extend a formal offer to the successful candidate. And when that candidate starts would be obviously negotiable. Potentially could start as early as January, but we understand the most likely scenario would be a provost would be starting next summer with the start of the new fiscal academic year. So anyway, that's where we are at this point. We're launched and excited to be moving forward with our search firm and getting a great response so far. So we are very pleased with that. And with that, I will kick it back over to Amy and anyone else here from Academic Affairs on any questions about this or the other topics.
Thanks, Brian. Amy, I have one more quick announcement for everybody here, and just thought this was you all would be very interested in our enrollment statistics. I just got an email from Stacy Phelan, who is our Associate Vice President of Enrollment Management, And today's enrollment is sitting at 9,225 students, which is 46%, or excuse me, 46 students or 0.51% higher than in 2019, and 70 students or 0.78% higher than in 2020. So our enrollment is increasing, and we hope by those 10th day numbers that we see an even bigger increase in that. So just wanted to give you all that information. So Amy, we'll turn it over to you for questions.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for utilizing that chat feature. Rex, I hope you're ready to answer some questions. So if you don't mind, I'm going to start with you. And the first question is, what is the procedure for screening? Can you simply show up?
So if people are interested in being screening, perhaps they've been exposed but are asymptomatic, or they've traveled and are just interested in coming back to campus, and after, traveling, have an interest in being screened, they can just show up at the screening site, which is in vocational arts. You also can log into the university health system and schedule an appointment that way as well. So both walk up and scheduled appointments are fine. I will say that we're going to be ramping up our screening on campus in the next week. And so scheduling an appointment might be the better way to do it, so that you're not waiting when you go up. But we have capacity for multiple people to screen at the same time. And so the wait shouldn't be long.
Great, thank you. So we got a lot of questions about students and face masks and the email that went out. So there are a lot of questions lumped in one here. So basically, what do we do if students or others are not wearing their face masks properly indoors? And is there a policy of how to deal with this if students are refusing to wear masks properly?
Well, I think first of all, and Karen, I'll let you chime in too, because we've gotten these kinds of questions a lot. First of all, we would ask that faculty, particularly in the classroom, make it very clear on the first day of class that ISU's policy is to wear face coverings indoors. We will say that there are a few exceptions to that, and students may have gone to disability services and been evaluated for a medical reason and to not wear a face covering. And those students, we would hope, would have that conversation with their instructor so that they wouldn't necessarily get called out in the middle of class for not wearing a face covering. If students continue to basically be militant about wearing a face covering, the instructor can ask that student to leave class. With repeated violations, I think it's reasonable for that to occur. We know that our classrooms are not going to be as distanced as they were in the fall. So the risk of exposure to a classroom that's fully roomed at 2019 capacity is significant, which is why face coverings are being mandated at this time. So, we don't want this to get confrontational. We'd like faculty to have a private conversation with those students and let them know why we have the face covering mandate and what's expected in the classroom. We do fully expect that there may be some situations that I guess escalate a little bit, and in that case, students can be asked to leave. And if it really were to get, overly confrontational, I think class could be canceled for that day, to be perfectly honest. Karen, I don't know if you have anything to add.
Yeah, Rex, thank you for that. And I support and agree with everything that Rex just said. I think faculty are uniquely qualified to be able to de-escalate conflict in the classroom. But these are, we've heard the word many times, unprecedented times. And you absolutely have the ability to approach a student, ask that student to put a mask on, letting them know it is not, I mean, it's your policy in your classroom, but this is a university policy, just like academic integrity, all of those types of things. This is a student code of conduct. And so we sent out on, I believe it was Tuesday, and Amy, I don't know if you can link to this. We sent out an email with lots of information for faculty related to COVID screening, things like this. And in that email, there was a syllabus statement. You are not required to put that syllabus statement about COVID in your syllabi if you don't want to, but you are welcome to do so. And that just generally lays out the university policy on masking. Obviously, you can reach out to academic affairs if you're having a challenge, but you can also reach out to student affairs. And the dean of students can contact this student immediately. And as I want to just reiterate something Rex said, if it becomes extremely confrontational and you are uncomfortable, we support you. If you ask that student to leave the classroom, please let us know. Please let the dean of students know. But if you feel you have to let the entire class go because it's gotten heated to that level, we hope that it won't. That might be an option for you too. So.
Thank you. Sorry, I was trying to find that email. I can
That's
keep
okay.
looking. But also, so with that, then are professors able to have the capability of switching to synchronous online at any time? And if so, can ISU provide such language to us instructors?
Amy, I am very sorry. Can you repeat that question? I had a request to put the enrollment numbers in the chat, which I'm going to do in just a second after I answer this question. Can you repeat that?
Of course. So going on with the syllabus statement and everything that you had just talked about, are faculty allowed to, or have the capability to switch to synchronous online at any time? And if so, can ISU provide such language to instructors?
So that's a very good question. We are prioritizing face-to-face instruction as much as possible. That was our goal, and it continues to be our goal. And that is our goal with having this mask requirement, is we want to ensure that as much as possible we can have face-to-face instruction. If faculty members have significant comorbidities, health issues, or have somebody at home who has a significant comorbidity or health issue that's concerning, what we encourage you to do is talk to your department chair and your dean, and then we can figure out a plan together. If there would be a severe situation with a student or something like that, just based on masking, it's not based on health, but it's based on masking, I don't know that I have the answer to that. So the question, are faculty able to just move back to synchronous online whenever? You'll need to work with your dean and your department chair on that, and we will work on that on a case-by-case basis. And I don't know if anybody else from academic affairs would like to address that as well.
Well, I would just like to add that if we were to have cases in a classroom, a laboratory, we might need to isolate and quarantine individuals. That would necessitate us going to rapidly in that classroom to kind of an online format as quickly as we could. So I throw that contingency in there because I think that's a possibility as well.
Last year, there was a flow chart for supervisors to utilize and determine courses of action if a student has been exposed to a positive COVID person. Is there still a plan to update this for those who have been vaccinated?
So what I would suggest is that if folks have questions about exposure or possible cases in the classroom or in their advising or laboratory spaces, that they fill out the self-report form, and the COVID health team will contact them and work through that contact tracing and the overall response that's necessary in each individual case.
Great, thank you, sorry. Okay, so Currently, students who are signed up for Zoom sections where there is also an in-person section at the same time have to pay EISU fees. Is there a possibility that the EISU fee could be removed since we are now being asked to potentially move students to Zoom if they have symptoms?
This is a very good question and something that we've been discussing very recently. We have heard from a couple of students about the EISU fee. Right now, we are maintaining that fee, but we are considering other options. And so we will absolutely get that communication out to faculty, students, and staff as quickly as possible if that changes.
Great, thank you. So on the same lines of classrooms and students, are the classrooms going to be restocked with this disposable masks? And in the rendezvous building have only there's only a couple of masks left. So are the classrooms going to be restocked?
So classrooms should be restocked. The other and facilities will let facilities know of the stocking issues in rendezvous, for example. I would also like to say that we have the disinfecting and cleaning capability that we had last year. And so when there are cases in classrooms, we will have fogging available for that classroom. There are still some enhanced cleaning protocols that will be in place with our custodial and facility services. So, the use of face coverings in addition to hand washing and hand hygiene, as well as cleaning our spaces, will continue, this fall as we move forward.
If I could add to that, Rex, it is important that we all sort of take ownership and responsibility too. And if cleaning supplies or masks aren't in the rooms or you need more, please let your chair know so that we can communicate with facilities and get everything restocked, because we want to make sure that you are safe, you are comfortable, students are safe, those types of things. But we don't know sometimes when we're not in those classrooms in the same way that you are.
And we have great supplies of those kinds of things, whether it's alcohol for hand sanitization or face coverings. So we absolutely can provide that where needed. We just need to know, as Karen says, when we run low.
So I had a follow-up question come in the chat as well. So to clarify, if we ask a student to leave class for refusal to wear a mask, we need to contact the dean of students regarding the situation. And is there a process to remove a student from class who are repeatedly disruptive?
Mm-hmm. So there is not a policy. You do not have to touch base with the dean of students if you've asked a student to leave class. You certainly may do that. And that may be the best case of action depending on the situation that happened in the classroom. Perhaps you're worried about the student, things like that. You might be worried about other students in class, just depending on how the whole conflict would have unfolded if it got to the point where you had to ask a student to leave. But we do encourage you to certainly reach out to the dean of students if you need help. And Amy, what was the second part of that question?
Is there a process to remove students from class who are repeatedly disruptive?
Well, I think that's where the dean of students comes in, right? And I think that what the dean of students will help us with are looking at other options for attending class, moving that student to online, for example, if that's possible. And we recognize that it's not possible all the time, but we're looking for options where we can still continue to meet the needs of the students from an educational perspective, but also not create the conflict that may be present in the classroom. So yes, I think there are processes in place. If it escalates beyond a simple, talking with the student and maybe even asking the student to leave, I think Karen has said, you contact the dean of students and they can work the student through that process. We have a communicable disease policy, and we have student conduct policies, and you have within your syllabi and within your departments, in some cases, specific student policies, so conduct policies. So I think between all of those, we should be able to handle this situation. And I will say that our communicable disease policy, which was revised last year, primarily in response to COVID, really does require the campus community to everybody to adhere to current guidance and guidelines that are in place based upon our operational level and the health of the community and campus. So, you know, we've got policy backup, I guess, for folks. And the Dean of Students is well aware that they may need to be engaged should some of these situations escalate.
Thank you, Rex. So there is a concern from a couple faculty members that mention they feel confident in de-escalating situations, but may face negative consequences in teaching evaluations. So how will that aspect of being required to engage in enforcement be handled by the evaluation of supervisors?
Now, that's an excellent question. So a few things, just some suggestions. First, know that the President's Office, the Office of Academic Affairs supports you in the implementation of this policy. I think that is the most important thing for you all to know, is that we support you in the implementation of this policy. While we want to make sure, as Rex just said, that we don't take away educational opportunities for our students, we figure out other creative ways to make sure that they can participate in classes if possible. We have your back in this. But in terms of evaluations, so a couple of things. If something would happen in a class, such as if it escalated to the point where there was incredibly high emotions and those types of things, that it actually impacted, you felt it was going to impact your student evaluations, the first thing I would do is touch base with your chair. Let your chair know what happened. If you contact the Dean of Students, that's another, this is a situation, I was following university policy. I made sure that I got this student to the right person. I let my chair know. We are also working on communication from academic affairs about ways to manage and sort of de-escalate conversations in the classroom. And so if you take some of those strategies, which I'm sure you all employ regularly anyways, take some of those strategies and just make a note of what you tried to do to keep the student, you know, positively involved in the class. I think the other thing is making sure that if it gets to the point where a student is asked to leave class and it's not possible for that student to come back face to face, how have you managed an alternative plan for that student to finish the class? So I know it's additional work. My hope is that there aren't tons of these situations, but that you document it. You certainly talk to your department chair, and then you and your department chair can work out a way to discuss that and articulate that well in your evaluation process. And academic affairs will absolutely accept that.
Just a couple more COVID questions. So I will be teaching an in-person class this fall. Are we still encouraged to simultaneously broadcast the class over Zoom for those who may be sick?
From my perspective, the answer is yes. Karen, I saw you getting ready to talk there. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Rex. I agree.
Yeah, so I think the answer is yes. I think that we should, in many cases, anticipate the needs of our students to be able to keep up should they become ill or be exposed and have to isolate or quarantine, whichever the case may be. So I think having that ability is great. There are some that may want to record their lectures so that students who are out could potentially make up time and make up those lectures by watching the videos. So I think wherever possible, we should be implementing and utilizing that technology while trying to stay in person as safe and successfully as we can.
Is there a potential that vaccines will be required for all faculty and staff?
So the answer to that is no. Vaccine requirements will not be coming. The state of Idaho and the governor, I think it was an executive order, basically has said that vaccine requirements will not happen in any of the state agencies, and obviously we're one of those. The idea of a vaccine passport to be able to come to work, or the requirement of that vaccine, is not going to happen in Idaho. We absolutely are encouraging everyone that is eligible for vaccination to get vaccinated, however, but it will not be a requirement.
Okay, this question kind of goes hand in hand. So why did the university decide for a mask mandate, but not other COVID guidelines such as social distancing? And I'll just stick with that one. Go ahead and answer that one first.
I can start with that. Moving our classes back to COVID capacity would have been an incredibly difficult lift for the registrar's office. We would have had to have completely re-roomed all of our classes. We would have had to have had conversations with some of our students to move on, more of our students to move online than be in classes. And so from an operational perspective, and what the data suggests is that masking is highly effective in mitigating the disease transmission. And so we felt comfortable that we had some alternative options. If students felt uncomfortable and wanted to move to an online section, we can make some of those changes. We've tried to work very closely with faculty over the summer that if they were uncomfortable going into a face-to-face class, that perhaps deans would move faculty schedules around so that those pieces were in place. So we felt that with our screening program, with our vaccination incentive program for students, with our pop-up vaccination sites, and with the masking mandate inside, that we had a very good plan for the safety of our campus. And I'll send it over to Rex or Darren if either of you have more thoughts on that.
No, I don't have anything to add. I think that's right on.
Yeah, I think you answered it well. Thank you.
So then that second part is, how does the COVID committee determine what operation status we are in?
So we have, and some of this information is on the Roaring Back website. First of all, the COVID committee doesn't set the operational levels. The administrative council of the president sets the operational levels. What the COVID committee does each week is it looks at a variety of different metrics related to the disease activity and our ability to respond to the disease, and provides basically a scorecard to the administrative council each week, and then the admin council determines the operational level. That scorecard has a variety of different metrics. Most of them are very objective. They're based on disease activity. They're numerical, right? They're things we can look at. And I can tell you, when we look at those metrics each week, there are some that are quite severe right now and some that are absolutely in the orange, which is good for us with our current scheme. So those metrics are looked at in aggregate and with other guidance that's coming from local public health and the state in terms of where we are and how we set that operational level. Amy, there was another question that came in to everyone in the chat. Do you mind if I just try to answer that? Jean asked about students bringing guns to class. What are we supposed to do if one shows up during one of these discussions? My suggestion would be that you, if there's a gun and it's being used in any sort of threatening way, or even used to intimidate, I would evacuate the classroom and I would call 911.
Absolutely.
Thank you for answering that. So I believe we hit almost all the COVID questions. So I'm going to move on to Karen, who I think you can answer these ones here. When does the Academic Affairs provide a promotion and tenure workshop for faculty this year?
We will be providing our promotion and tenure workshop. We have not set the date yet, but we will be doing that this fall. So I will have more information about when we are doing that workshop. In the meantime, however, and I will get this information out, I'm sending some informational links out to everybody on Monday. We have some recordings of some past workshops. So if you would like to sort of get ahead and watch those recordings, that might be helpful, but we will have information about our fall workshop upcoming very soon.
Great. So then what are the timelines for submitting promotion portfolios and providing recommendations to academic affairs?
I don't have the timeline in my brain, burned into my brain right now, but if you are up for promotion and tenure for the next academic year, which would be going through the process this entire year, you would have submitted your letter of intent last fall, and your promotional materials would be due sometime, I believe, mid-September to your department committee, and then it will move through the regular process from there. Promotion and tenure appointments are made after the state board approves, and those are generally at the end of the semester, mid-May, I believe. So you would be finding out about your appointments mid-May.
Perfect.
But I will say that the academic affairs calendar is posted. All of those dates for when promotion and tenure, sabbatical applications, 3-year reviews, PPRs, all of those are on the date for on the academic affairs website.
Thank you. Stuart, are you still here?
I just had to answer a phone call, but I'm back. So perfect time.
Great. Okay, so this question's for you. How many times can you mentor? For example, if you did it this year, could you also do it again for fall 2022?
Absolutely. We're hoping that those that participate this fall will have a great experience and they'll want to come back in the future. We're also hoping to grow this program to where every incoming student would be paired up with a mentor, which would mean we need to involve more mentors into this program. So yeah, if somebody had a great experience, which we hope you do, we want you to come back. And we also want to recruit more mentors in the future to help us pair up these mentees and get all of our incoming students with somebody.
Awesome, thank you. So I know we do have a couple of minutes left and a couple of other COVID questions came in the chat. Is it okay to keep going? Great. So if a student becomes sick and decides to stay online for the remainder of the semester, are we expected to informally shift to a high flex course?
So if you have a class right now that, of course, has the face-to-face section and an online section, which is a large number of our classes, that shouldn't be a problem. However, switching to a high flex environment because of this, I wouldn't say you are expected to do so. That is certainly an option for you. It would depend, of course, on the class and the case. So with any of those situations, I would tell you to immediately contact your department chair and work out some kind of alternative class format if that's necessary with your department chair and your dean.
Thank you. Given that we were just informed that we should broadcast and teach at the same time, how do we get prepared for this if we haven't done this before when class starts on Monday?
Well, my hope is that we've all been sort of thinking about, it's not a requirement that you broadcast and record and teach at the same time. We are not requiring that. That is just simply an option that might make it easier if a student has to miss classes because of COVID. I think the way that I think about this is, as faculty members, we are always, even before COVID, we were always thinking about ways to make class accessible for students who had family emergencies, sicknesses, those types of things. And so we are not requiring that you broadcast. We are not requiring that. We're just encouraging you to think about ways that you can make class accessible to students when they absolutely cannot be there because of the health implications of that.
Yeah, I'm just looking through the chat to make sure I didn't miss anything. The final question that I see is, what if a student refuses to leave?
So if a student refuses to leave, my suggestion is to dismiss the entire class. And please inform your department chair that that is why you did that. And I think, try to de-escalate as much as you possibly can. If it gets to the point where you have a student who is simply refusing to leave, unfortunately, at that time, you let the entire class go and maybe think about putting your PowerPoint on Moodle, some informational pieces on Moodle, figuring out a way to review that instructional content with them in a timely fashion. But if it gets to that point, I think that is my suggestion and is your best option.
Great. Those were all the questions that came in. I do think it might be beneficial, Rex, if you wouldn't mind just sharing one more time how we can get COVID tested here on campus.
Sure. So if people are symptomatic, you have a scratchy throat, runny nose, cough, headache, those kinds of symptoms, cold-like symptoms really is what we're talking about. And even allergy symptoms. Last year, what we found this time of year is that many people who thought they were having late summer, early fall allergies, or were reacting to bad air quality with the wildfire smoke that we're dealing with this year as well, that commonly that was actually COVID. So those kinds of symptoms, folks should contact University Health, or they could get tested out in the community as well. Express labs, many of the urgent cares in town, those kinds of places have the testing capacity. But here on campus, with symptoms, University Health should be contacted. And our protocols there are not to have people walk into University Health with symptoms. They're actually to call ahead, and then University Health can come out actually to your car and do the testing at that point. If folks are worried about exposure, or they've been to a large event or traveled, as I mentioned earlier, they're welcome to, and are asymptomatic, that's the key, no symptoms, they are welcome to utilize our screening site, which is in Vocational Arts. It's just off the road that's between Vocational Arts and the Roy F. Christensen building, which is across the street from Reed Gym, at least north of Reed Gym, and just to the, what would it be, west of Garrison and Turner. And if there are specifics about that I didn't cover, yeah, shoot them to Amy or just yell them out now and I'll try to clarify.
Are we done with questions, Amy? Excellent. Well, again, thank you.
I'm so sorry to cut you off. One just came in about Convocation. And if you just had any updates or information about Convocation this Friday.
So Stuart, I hate to ask you this question, but do you have updates about Convocation?
Yeah, I just put in the chat the link to the website about Convocation. It's a new tradition here at the university. We're very excited. An email went out, I believe, last week inviting faculty to participate. If any of you are available, we would love to have you there. It's at Davis Field tomorrow. We're watching the weather closely, so we have a contingency plan if it's rainy or cold. We obviously don't want to be sitting outside, so we have some contingency plans, but take a look at the website. And if you haven't RSVP'd yet, still come on out. We would love to have as much faculty there to welcome all of our new students. It's going to be an awesome event, and we hope to make it a really cool tradition for our new students. So yeah, tomorrow evening, we'll be watching the weather. We're not worried about a little rain, but if it's a lot of rain, we have a backup plan.
Thank you, Stuart. So I hope to see you all there tomorrow night. A great way to welcome our students back. And I really appreciate you attending this today at what I know is an extremely busy time. Great questions. We will be in very close communication. As always, if there are questions that you have that you are not hearing from us on, that you need answers to, please don't hesitate to reach out. And if we don't know the answer, we will figure it out, and we will do this all together as a team. So have a wonderful first week of classes, and thank you again.